We are going to keep it a little bit comparative for our question this week. And basically, the situation is this: Tom is going to the party conference next week. Tom, what is that? And since we just had the DNC, well, actually, I mean, we really did just have it, even though it feels like it was many moons ago. Is it basically the RNC or the DNC, or is it something else entirely?
I would say it is and it isn't, and it's both, and it depends on the party. And there are so many distinctions within the UK context. There are elements of it which are absolutely a massive choreographed rally in which politicians are making set piece speeches, which will be televised, and they'll try to make headlines and announcements. Not in quite the same way as the DNC in an election year. The Labour Party conference this year is not launching Keir Starmer onto the national stage so that people can decide whether they like him or not. They've already elected him, and this is just an annual event. It's all those things. It is for the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats, who are meeting this week as well, a policy making. It's literally a conference at which they decide things, both in terms of party rules and so on, electing people to certain party bodies, and also deciding on what party policy is on certain issues and what issues will be debated by various policy commissions over the next few years. All of which is, I think, quite interesting, but not the most sort of publicly prominent part of the conference. There's a very large conference fringe in which you get all sorts of roundtables, speaker events, debates, and stuff going on that people can attend. There are lots and lots of bars open at which people will drink and talk to each other and make fools of themselves. And it's an enormous get together. But they are all different in their different ways, and they will depend. The mood will depend on. This week's Liberal Democrat conference, which I'm not at, is by all accounts very upbeat because they've just had their best performance in an election in the last 100 years. The Labour conference will be a weird combination, I think, of upbeat because they've just got into government, and downbeat because the whole tenor of this government over the last few weeks and months has been quite, oh my goodness, everything's worse than we thought, it's all terrible. It's a bit doom and gloom.
It'll be upbeat because they won, and downbeat also because they won.
Also because they won, exactly. Yeah, there will already, I think, be some people who are trying to get the government to change direction on things, which is always what people try and do to governments. But I think it won't be a simply straightforwardly triumphalist conference. And then the Conservative conference is a bit weird in various ways, partly because, unlike the other conferences, it has never been a policy-making body. It doesn't have any business to transact. It's just a rally. But secondly, it's unusual because they are going through a leadership election at the moment. We talked about this a few weeks ago. But they're actually, this is not necessarily a mad idea, but they're using their conference to give a platform to the 4 remaining candidates in that contest, who will each get a speech in which they'll sell their ideas about the future to the party, and no one else is getting a speech, as I understand it. So the current leader, Rishi Sunak, has not got a speech. He might say a few words to open the conference, but he's basically done. So we're just going to have the 4 candidates. Then 2 of them will be eliminated by the Parliamentary Party, which is very small, and then the last 2 will go to vote of the membership. So quite what else happened at that conference, goodness knows. The other thing to say about party conferences is that a huge amount of the audience is made up of corporate people of one kind or another, lobbyists, business people. I think this is probably true of the DNC and the RNC as well in their different ways. And they all bring money, but the money follows the power. And so this year's Labour Party conference will have a lot of people there spending a lot of money. The Lib Dem conference has quite a lot of people there spending quite a lot of money. The Tories won't really have anyone there spending any money this year. That could change if the polls change through the election. But the last 2 or 3 years were characterised by Labour seeing a big influx of people trying to influence the Labour Party as it was in opposition, potentially going into government, people moving away from the Tories. Those tides will follow the way the polls go over the next few years. If the Tories look like they're getting back into it, then people will start going to their conference again. If they look like a busted flush for the next 4 years, no one will bother. And we'll just see what happens. So I'm excited about going to Liverpool. I don't think I'll be able to record next week, but I may send some sort of audio update. We'll see what's feasible. We'll have a roving reporter.